You're listening to the Oneofus.net podcast network.
But then you send me home with video games that are great, and now, like, my wife is always like, don't you have a job? I'm like, shut up, I'm playing video games.
Shut up, the world, that's my job.
God of War is the greatest game ever made. Fuck off.
Chris, put down the controller. We're recording a podcast. God damn it.
We just did God of War last night.
No shit.
It's
Like,
so awesome.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, Jeff Kanata, like, got raked over the coals for having the audacity to say it's one of the best video games that come out in years and a masterpiece, and everyone's like, you're so bought and paid for. You're such a piece of shit. He's spent a whole day getting dragged through the mud, and then the game comes out, and everybody goes, oh.
Yeah, it really is.
It really is one of those
I
games that
saw last night that there was a thing where IGN did like a screenshot comparison between the PS4 God of War and then it said Xbox One. It was just a black screen that didn't have anything on it. And then like there was another screenshot where apparently like a few hours later the guy had to like apologize on Twitter for being like insensitive about like rubbing Xbox fans' face and the fact that they, and I'm like, what?
How insane is that? Yeah, we're very upset that you pointed out that we're not getting God of War.
Yes.
It was like, yeah, why not just bring up the Holocaust? Jesus.
That sounds like the
Why not bring up Battlefront 2 again?
I know Jeff was all excited. We were having a conversation outside, and Martin's like, yeah, somebody sent me a Nintendo Switch. Is that any good? And Jeff just exploded.
Yeah, man, it's so good. Everybody needs a Nintendo Switch.
His brain just, you watched it happen. It like he just, his head's literally swelled like by 4 inches. And he's like, let me tell you something, Martin Thomas.
Everybody needs Mario in their life all of a sudden.
I'm really excited about the Switch. I need to get one eventually, but of course I have my killer app that I'm waiting to come out.
Pokemon?
Yeah. I'm waiting for the Pokemon game, which is going to be Gen 9.
Someone actually messaged me the other day saying, hey, I know this is a weird question, but is Cargill actually as into Pokemon? Because
it seems like a joke.
I was like, it seems like he's joking. Is he really that into Pokemon? I was like, oh, trust me. I remember we were living together and it was Christmas and his Amazon wish list was like 12 things and 9 of them were Pokemon.
Dude, I love Pokemon. What are you going to do?
You gotta catch them all.
In fact,
It's a moral imperative.
it's even more than that. You've got to catch them all, and then you've got to catch all the alternate colored versions of
All
them
the
as
shinies,
well. All the shinies. No, actually, it's
They weren't colored, they were born that way.
You can't say colored Pokemon.
Pokemon's are colored.
You know, I've had a bunch of really interesting
POC.
encounters because of Pokemon, actually.
They're Pokemon Americans.
Oh. I mean, you're behind patience.
Pocket Americans.
Let me ask, have you played Detective Pikachu?
Those are just short people.
I have not played Detective Pikachu.
Oh,
I forgot
God.
about that. He's making it
Amiibo
up.
is huge.
No, that's real.
Wait, that's you're gonna get an email in a week from
Sounds like a sex
Jeff
game.
saying, "Do you want to record Detective Pikachu with me?"
If there was any
There's a
way.
Well, there is a way, but it's really expensive.
Yeah,
If you
it's
didn't have to
pretty expensive.
send your 3DS to some shady place and give them $500, yes, I would totally do that. But
So wait, you can't
That
get
doesn't
the
sound
game
anything
here?
like a scam.
No, to capture
capture
a
it.
Game Boy, you need somebody to modify it for like $500, and they basically send it back to you going, "Don't tell Nintendo about this."
Well, you're
There you
also,
go.
by doing that, you're also
People
going to help
do
a
ROMs,
deposed
though.
Nigerian prince, so
Don't
it's
worry.
fine.
Wait, I'm sorry. I don't
And
want
then
to
they'll
bring
give
this
you
to a grinding
$900 million.
halt. It's just that hearing this detective
Pikachu. Yeah.
I honestly want to know about it.
Oh, it's pretty.
What is
it's
it?
pretty weird.
It's an adventure story about a Pikachu that talks and wears a little Sherlock Holmes costume with a really gruff voice. And
Like McGruff the Clown Dog?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
And his buddy, who's a kid, like trying to solve a mystery, and the Pikachu can talk to the Pokemon, and then you have to walk around the city, and the Pikachu is like a gruff detective with a heart of gold.
And
Yeah,
Please tell me he chain smoked. I need
Do you mean really walk
He's-
around like Pokemon Go?
Here's
walk
what's
around, or
really
just
going to
walk
melt your
around the
fucking
game?
brain.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're going to melt your fucking brain. They're making a movie of it.
I was just
Yeah,
going to say.
And it's being voiced by Ryan Reynolds.
It's so good. There was
That
an
last part melts my brain.
There was an online petition to get Ryan Reynolds to voice Detective Pikachu, and they had the Foley go,
I thought it was Danny
"Alright, fine,
DeVito."
we'll offer it to him." He's like, "Fuck you, yes, I'll do it."
Brought to you
He's
by
finally-
brought to you by the director of Monsters vs. Aliens
Yeah!
and Gulliver's Travels. with
Yeah!
Jack Black. So
Okay.
My roommate
Well,
actually.
for a long time they were.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like
Yeah, no, that was good. Gulliver's Travels, not so much.
Yeah.
So my roommate in LA actually was working on that in its pre-production form, and they were gonna like fly him out to London to finish working on it. And he was like, "I don't fucking want to go to London. Sorry." So
What? Who says that?
My
You
insane
kicked
roommate.
him out your door and said, "You're fired. Just keep paying the bills."
Well,
Yeah.
it depends on how much you're making, because going to London and working is a lot of fun, but it is not cheap.
No.
So if the studio is not like really, if you're not in a high paying job, most of that money is going to go towards travel and room and board, because the
Oh no, he's an asshole. They would have paid for everything.
oh well then yeah, fuck you. Because that was 3 of the best months of my
Right?
life.
The entire time I was just like, "Why the fuck don't I have that job?"
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just so weird to me that like the
Steal his
Pikachu
face.
game that you can't even play here
Yeah.
without spending a bunch of money is the one they're making a movie out of.
Because there's not
No,
really
that
a
came
way
out
to
here,
make.
though.
there's-
No,
it-
it's here.
Yeah,
It's
it
very
came out
hard
here.
to make a movie out of something that's simply fantasy cockfighting. Like, that's all Pokemon
Yeah.
has.
It really
Yes,
is.
it
Yeah,
is.
totally.
It's
Depends
why
on the
I
kind of
love
movie.
it. It's like, I mean, I was tweeting about this the other day, because like the film Struck 4 went around, and then the game Struck 4 went around as a meme. And one of the games that I put on there is a very formative game for me, is this game from 1985 called Mail Order Monsters, which was literally where you would be given a little amount of money, and then you would pick a monster from 12 or 16 different monster types, and then all these different add-ons to try to get your monster awesome. And then you'd go and fight other people's monsters. It was the first video game where you could actually pull out a separate disc and save your monster, and then keep building up your monster over time while beating your friends. And I loved that game, and they never made a sequel. And then when I discovered Pokemon, I said, holy shit, this is Mail Order Monsters. This is fucking great. And just fell in love with it. And so, like, going back to that original question, I love it unironically, because it's like, it is cockfighting with monsters. But how do you make that a movie that works? Like, how do you make a movie? Like, they've done some things like, here's what serious Pokemon would look like, and you just kind of cover your face and go, oh my god,
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
would be
So
ridiculous.
yeah, you got to make like a Django Unchained version.
So I'm gonna go ahead and
I saw a fan film just like that. It was just so goddamn depressing. It was like watching a PETA film.
Yeah.
Chris pulled up the list here of just like the cast. Bill Nighy's tied to this movie.
Yeah, and Suki Waterhouse.
Just
Just saying.
oh god.
It's gonna be a masterpiece, Martin. Just accept it.
I've seen
No,
the
no,
test
no, no.
footage.
I'm actually fascinated by this concept.
No, I mean it's one of those like you never know. Honestly, I always
Sure.
throw up my hands. I remember when they said they were making a Paddington movie. I went, oh, for fuck's sakes, you're gonna fuck up this beloved childhood icon. And boy, did they not
so
fuck
good.
that up.
Now you and Mike want to give it an Oscar.
Oh my god!
do.
I don't know
It's
Not only did they
Paddington
get it
2.
right, but it made that Pooh trailer, that Christopher Robbins trailer, like even more exciting. Like,
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
fair, yeah.
Yeah.
like you watch that, and you're like, all right, I'll watch Paddington 3.
Oh, I can't wait for Paddington 3. After Paddington 2, which is like the 22 Jump Street of the Paddington series.